Well, here we are again. Yeah. Thank you for purchasing, and I use the word purchasing lightly because I know that some of you did not. Well, thank you for finding a way to view my video, the second in my instructional series. This video continues where the first one left off. I mean, really, how could it not? I put together some new tricks for you to watch, and I use the word watch strongly because you will not be able to duplicate them. But I hope you can learn something from this video. I've got a lot of compliments from people who learned something from my first video, so I hope you can also learn something from this video, which is why I decided to make it instructional. So there'll be some instructional sections. There'll also be some non-instructional sections to break up the monotony of instructional sections.
Okay, Jason, can we try that one more time, this time with a little more feeling?
That's fine, we're moving on.
Okay, but it sounded like crap.
We'll discuss proper techniques for pirouettes, balancing while juggling, which involves relearning the juggling you're attempting while balancing properly. And I use the word properly loosely. I should replace it with the way I say to do it. Everything I teach in this video is not necessarily correct or incorrect, but it's the way I practice. So if you're content with the possibility of getting, well, I don't want to say as good as me because that's impossible, but if you're content with learning the way I practice and possibly having some of the results that I had, which may not happen anyway, then pay attention. Otherwise, familiarize yourself with the fast forward button. Or better yet, the stop button. Or better yet, the record button. You have to put some tape over that little square that's been plucked out to avoid accidental erasure. What I usually do is take some of the label that comes with those low quality tapes you get in the store. I left some of that in there for you. And you just cut off some of the label and stick it on that square, which enables you to record any program you want at all over the tape. Otherwise, pay attention and maybe you can learn something. So let's now proceed with the lessons.
The Acropolis, the heart of ancient Athens, and site of what stands behind me, the Parthenon, the main temple of the Acropolis built between 447 and 438 BC by the brilliant sculptor Phidias. What are we doing here? Nothing really. Pirouettes can only be executed smoothly if you can comfortably juggle the amount of objects you're trying to pirouette under consistently at the height at which the throws need to be for the pirouette. For example, to do a 5-ball 5-up pirouette, the balls need to go at least 7-ball height. The only person who's the exception to that rule is Dan Bennett, who can do a 5-ball pirouette while driving to Denny's. So to prepare yourself for this particular pirouette, you should be able to juggle 5 balls at 7-ball height just as proficiently as at the height you regularly throw at. Also, being able to juggle 7 balls will help significantly. It's not necessary, but it definitely will help. However, we'll start with 3 objects and then work our way up from there. The most important thing to remember is to finish making the throw before starting the turn. If you throw while you're turning, you're not only throwing from a different angle, but the object you're throwing is influenced by your movement and goes even further in the direction that you're turning to the point where all hell breaks loose. Finish the throws, then start the turn, and you'll look like less of an idiot. I suggest working on the pirouette setup for several days before actually attempting the pirouette. Get comfortable throwing the flash. Clap your hands if you must, but don't do that on stage or I'll slap the shit out of you. Then pirouette with just one object in the different patterns, and only move your feet when you spin. After you complete the pirouette, you should return where you started, feet planted.
No excuses!
This is the technique I use to pirouette to the right. I take a small step back with my right foot, complete the throws, spot them, push off with the left foot keeping my arms in and spinning on the balls of my right foot. To execute perfect pirouettes, your basic pattern must be perfect. Your pirouette setup is a higher version of your lower basic pattern. Since you're throwing at an angle, the higher the throws, the wider the angle will become. So it's important to have a tight, narrow pattern to begin with. Now there are a couple of things to consider when deciding how to throw your pirouette setups and in deciding which way to turn. If you start your throws with the right hand in a cascade pattern, turning to the right will be easier for you because as you come around, the first catch will be on the left, which is where you first regain your vision. If you turn to the left, you have to come all the way around before you see it. However, if you throw from the left first, then turning to the left will be easier for the same reason. But you can accommodate a right-handed start with a left turn if you throw in columns. In this way you throw from the right first, but keep the throw on the right side so that when you turn to the left, the throw is still on the right, which is where you first regain your vision when turning to the left. So a good rule of thumb to make pirouettes easier is to turn the same direction of the hand that the first throw is made from. unless it's thrown in the column pattern, in which case the opposite is true. Remember, it's very f***ing important that you complete the throws before starting the pirouette. Maybe if I just pirouette and half pirouette under one object, you'll see what I'm talking about more clearly. Throw, then turn. Throw, then turn. None of this throw and turn at the same time sh**. Throw, then turn. Here's a compilation of pirouettes and half pirouettes for you to examine and try out at your own risk. The Library of Celsus, Ephesus. Once the Roman capital of Asia Minor and a major commercial center. Of course, that was a long time ago. Now all that remain are tourists. Simply put, to learn how to balance in juggle, you first need to learn how to balance. I'd recommend starting with the club since you can pretty much find one of those anywhere. I'd recommend starting out by practicing balancing on your chin, nose, forehead, and eyes. Focus on the top of the club. Try to keep it pointed straight up. If it moves, move your head to put it back in its vertical state of being.
Yes, and let me just say one thing. Don't move your motherfucking feet. I mean, do I really need to have to tell you why? Learn how to balance without moving your feet. Just like this, see? Look at that. That guy, he's perfect. There's, look, no moving of the feet. Maybe a little bit of moving the head. But that's about it. Okay, so to recap, don't move your feet. Stop if you completely lose the balance so you don't practice correcting your mistakes. And make adjustments with your head. Don't move your feet, stupid.
Another exercise that's good to work on is to practice lying down while you're balancing. This way you're forced to isolate the muscles of the necular region so that you can't move anything else. So you're forced to balance properly. So go down as far as you can. That's good enough right there. And then get back up and then try it a few times until you can do it quicker, than you did the first time, and do it, faster and faster. You also get a good ab workout doing this, which I think is important because a lot of you people are fat, so this is good for working on that too. Not really, but still, it's something. Also, practice balancing objects of different lengths. You'll notice balancing an object of a shorter length is a lot harder than balancing one of a longer length. There's a reason for that that's irrelevant to discuss right now. This is a spoon. it's harder to balance because it's short, like Gary Coleman. Both would be difficult to balance, but for different reasons. But that's no excuse. Don't move your feet. Once you get proficient at balancing, you then need to relearn the basic juggling pattern, which means starting with one object. So do that. Starting with a balance on your facial feature of choice, get comfortable throwing and catching just one object while maintaining the balance without moving your feet. That's right, tough guy. Once you can do one pretty comfortably, let's say, 10 throws 10 times in a row without moving, guess what? Yeah, your feet. Then you can add a second object, preferably the same kind of object. So, yeah, work on 2, then move on to 3.
Excuse me, you mind if I interrupt? Yeah, focus on the balanced object at all times. It needs more attention than the juggled objects because ideally, you can already juggle. So try to see the juggled objects out of your peripheral vision. And learn, you have to then relearn the basic juggling pattern as Jason taught in his first video, Juggling Master 2000. Yeah, but this time you have to learn all of that, only this time with a balance.
If you don't have that video, you'd better get it so you know the proper way to do this. I'm not going to waste my time bringing up old shit. Here's a few examples of what you can do with balancing and juggling. I receive thousands of letters from fans such as yourselves on a daily basis. I read each and every one of these letters with the help of a dictionary, thesaurus, and neurosurgeon. There's a lot of questions that haven't been answered, and I'd like to take a moment now to address them. This one comes from Hackensack, New Jersey. Why is this video titled Juggling Master II and not Juggling Master 2001 or Juggling Master 2000 Part 2? Because those names sound stupid, and Juggling Master 2 sounds cool. This question comes from Haifa, Israel. Question: why is your video so expensive? Because I'm the only one who can make it. This question comes from Boca Raton, Florida. Question: my mother died while watching your video. Can I sue you? Yes. This question comes from Mongolia. Question: do you know what the square root of 5,365,922 is? No. Well, please keep the questions coming. I invite any and all inquiries. I try to open up all of my fan mail as soon as I get it, but those I just don't have time to open, I shove in my ass.
You know, back in the 80s and early 90s, not only was Three's Company a hit TV show, even in syndication, but it was more than impressive to execute tricks such as a 5-ball, 5-up pirouette, or unique 5-ball patterns such as this one. Today these tricks are just as difficult to execute, yet less impressive due to the fact that they've been done before and we're all sick of seeing them. So here's the question. How do you make the same old boring tricks more difficult, hence more impressive? Well, the only way to achieve this is to combine the old boring tricks together seamlessly. Now to do this, you have to execute a trick that's a combination of both tricks called a transition.
Here's a good basic example that can be applied to many other variations. Say you want to go from a 3-ball, 3-up pirouette straight into overhead throws. To do this, you have to set up the throws of the pirouette to land above your head. Looked at from the side, you'll notice that the balls are thrown with a little bit of an arc back so that they land above the head. From this position, you can see how easy it is to go into overhead throws. If you throw a normal pirouette, you have to jerk your arms back at the last second, which not only tires you out, but also looks like shit.
Using proper technique will allow you to juggle longer without getting tired. It takes a lot more energy to correct a badly thrown trick than it does to execute the same trick perfectly several times in a row. This is helpful in performing long routines without stopping. Now let's take a gander at this masterpiece that I created.
This is a 5-ball, 5-up pirouette that immediately segues into overhead throws. Notice that the pirouette setup is higher to accommodate the transition into overhead throws. Since the new pattern is going to be higher, the setup must be higher.
Basically, every throw that you make of the first trick needs to be set up for the next trick that you're segueing into. Now here's another one.
So you can do a 5-club pirouette. Well, good for you, Spanky.
And perhaps you can do 5 clubs in singles. But wouldn't it be more impressive to go from a 5-club pirouette immediately into singles? I think so. Perhaps you should start with this easier variation. Here's another idea.
So you can do 3-club back crosses. Well, good for you. And say you can do a 3-club back cross pirouette. But I am overjoyed. But why don't you just go right from the back crosses into the back cross pirouette and then back into the back crosses? That's a good trick. It's my trick, but it's a good trick.
Transitions are a great way to come up with new tricks and new patterns. And if I were a judge and a competitor executed 2 tricks separately, the competitor that combined the same 2 tricks together seamlessly with a transition would get more points, especially if they won over time. Now here's a few more examples that may give you some ideas. But if you're thinking of learning these transitions and using them in your own performance, I'm sorry, shame on you. Sure, you could copy these exact transitions, but everybody would just know that you jacked them from me, which is also why I'm documenting them on this video. Better yet, use these examples to come up with your own original ideas, or just send me 10%. A lot of people ask me if working out with weights helps your juggling. Well, I think it most definitely helps your juggling, especially when you're trying to juggle real bowling pins. Also, I feel you'll achieve the best results with high numbers once you're able to deadlift a small cow. Now here's an unnecessary section on me working out.
Work. Come on, let's work. work it to the bone, bone, bone. Let's work to the bone, bone, bone. Come on, let's work to the bone, bone, bone. We got to work it to the bone. Let's work it to the bone, bone, bone. Come on, work to the bone, bone, bone. Come on, let's work to the bone, bone, bone. Come on now, work me to the bone, bone, bone. Let's work me to the bone, bone, bone. I will work you to the bone, bone, bone. I will work you to the bone, bone, bone. Let's work.
Cardiovascular training is integral when attempting long runs with 3 balls. This next section, if followed properly, will get your cardiovascular endurance to a level competitive with the 3-ball world record holders level, which enabled them to juggle 3 balls for over 11 hours. In this section, I'm going to show you how to take rudimentary juggling moves and turn them into a 20-minute cardiovascular workout. Before participating in Juggling Tae Bo, I'd recommend stretching out for at least 3 hours. Refer to somebody else's workout video on how to do that because I don't feel like stretching out today. Okay, let's get started with 3 balls. The key to cardiovascular success is actually to not work too hard. Keep your heart rate at a level where you're burning fat and not carbohydrate or muscle. That way you can keep your heart rate at an aerobic level with basic juggling moves. Okay, let's get started now with 3 up pirouettes. 100 in a row. And go. You'll notice for the cardiovascular workout that I use the column pattern. This way you can continually execute 3 up pirouettes without the need to cascade in between. You could alternate starting from right to left and then left to right. But this way is significantly more difficult, and I wouldn't expect anyone to be capable of doing this except me. So I'd recommend using the column pattern. Okay, now take a few seconds to level out your heart rate. Remember, if you feel faint or lightheaded, that means you're just not working hard enough. Okay, let's continue now with 10 3-up double pirouettes in a row separated by a deep squat and a jump spinning crescent kick. And go. Okay, now we're going to focus on our upper body, which is oftentimes neglected in cardiovascular workouts. This move is called the 3-ball punching bag. And go.
Finish off your workout with several repetitions of bench presses. If you can't find a 110-pound Russian girl to bench press, I suppose a regular bench press will suffice. Repeat all these exercises 10 times in a row or until you stop sweating, whichever comes second. Remember, it's very important to not eat anything 4 days before or after participating in Juggling Tae Bo. For maximum results, Juggling Tae Bo should be done 5 to 6 times a week. So don't stop, don't quit, and never give up.
If you've seen Juggling Master 2000, and even in this video, you know how much I stress the importance of practicing without moving your feet. A lot of people have pointed out to me, unsolicitedly, that I move my feet during the 18-minute juggling montage of Juggling Master 2000. Well, to this I say, you try doing those tricks without moving your feet, and then you can bitch about my feet. Now let's not forget that during this next section.
Keep in mind the practice portion of this video was all shot in one day, actually about 15 minutes. But everything you see on this video is not all I can do. I can also play the piano. And I have to leave something for the imagination. So after you finish watching this video, imagine me doing something that you didn't see me do on the video, and then be impressed with the thought of that, because it has to be left for your imagination.
Who the hell let that goddamn mime into our gym today? This way they can put the parental advisory warning on at the beginning of the video. Good evening, ladies and everybody else. My name is... You know what, if you don't know what my name is, you might as well just leave right now, because if you don't know who I am, you had absolutely no business being here at all. I'm going to be your MC for the next several hours of the same crap performed over and over again by different people, only distinguishable by the color of their vests. I'm talking here. I'm extremely thrilled to be here tonight, and I say that only, of course, because I'm lying. What you're about to witness, for those of you who haven't witnessed it before, is the same thing you would have witnessed if you watched this event any other year. This is a competition that features the best of whoever the hell decided to show up and compete. I've competed in one of the events tonight several times, and I've learned something from it. First, you pay a $10 registration fee, which is non-refundable. Now that doesn't guarantee that you're going to win. You have to pay a little more for that. Now, that just gets you into the preliminaries. That just gets you into the preliminaries. Then if you suck less than 80 of the other people, you get to do your routine in the competition. And the judges, who we'll talk about later, get to play God with your life, because we all know what winning this competition can do for your career. Not to mention the immense monetary gain from it. But we are here for one reason and one reason only. Most of us don't have to go to the bathroom yet. Personally, I think we should let the audience judge the competition. Are you finished? Please don't. Well, if you're going to do it in unison, but please don't do that again for the rest of the night. Thank you. Despite your recent behavior, I still think we should just let the judges take a nap, because, you know, they're way too overworked anyway. And we should just give the audience, you know, some paper, pens, $5, and, you know, split that any way you want, and just let you guys be the judges. But only the people that came with shoes and socks on. And none of the people that pick up their props with their bare toes. Especially none of the people that pick up my props with their bare toes. It's just disgusting. Here, let me help you out. Here, let me get that wedge between my toes for you there. Let me just clean off the lint there and chuck it at you. Yeah, that's real nice, thanks. Just don't touch my stuff, all right? I'll get it. Basically, we're all here just to get some sort of entertainment value out of this clown fest. Oh, which reminds me, I hope everybody shows up tomorrow for speed balloon sculpturing. Well, it's always nice to see the IJA expanding its juggling-related events in concentric circles of which the diameter is stretched way beyond Diablos, devil sticks, and yo-yos, which we all know to be directly related to juggling. To go as far as to include speed balloon sculpturing, once thought to have nothing at all to do with juggling, and now we know otherwise. Next year I'll be instating a new competition called the Clown Kick, which is basically a competition to see how many clowns' asses you can kick over the course of a 7-day period. This is a real piece of work to have here. This is really great. Yeah, it's real convenient too, you know, why make you guys drive all the way to a real theater when we can just build something in here out of Legos? This is sure a lot of people are a little confused and maybe unhappy that not every junior competitor made it through preliminaries, and you're probably wondering what the reason for that is. Well, as of this year, the IJA has instated a urine testing policy. Anabolic steroids will no longer be tolerated in the juniors competition, and me personally, I'm just not going to stand for it. I heard Dan Holzman's voice. Who beat me in Baltimore? Is that what you said? I believe everybody did. I got last place in Baltimore. Thanks for bringing that up. I like talking about that. I lived in Dan's area for a while. We hung out from time to time. All I heard from him every day, yeah, just wait till I get my total gym. Then I'll be getting in shape. When are you going to get that thing? Well, they told me not to do any juggling in between to kill time because apparently it confuses the judges. Let me work on my rotation. Hold on. About as good as I've ever seen it performed. Throw it up and you catch it. How difficult is one object? Come on, give me a goddamn break. Is he ready? Well, for those of you that are unaware of this, there was a correction made to the results of the numbers competition from last year. Apparently they gave first place to some guy who got 16 catches with 7 clubs. However, after watching the video, it became quite clear to numbers Committee President Ben Schoenberg that he actually only got 15 catches, whereas he made 16 throws, dropped the 15th, but caught the 16th before the 15th touched the ground. So then the 16th becomes the 15th, and that's how you get your 15 catches. Personally, I would count that as 14, but judge it as you will, and as Ben did, he counted it as 15 catches, which coincidentally is the exact same number of catches that I made. Therefore, Ben has decided to award me as well with a gold medal, since there was no tiebreaker. And so now there's 2 gold medalists for the clubs division of the numbers competition for last year. Now, Ben was not available to present me with the award tonight because I think he's busy sitting in the audience eating Twizzlers or something. So here in Ben's place, to present me with the gold medal for the numbers competition in the clubs division from last year is some lady from backstage.
Jason,
Yes,
on
ma'am.
behalf of the IJA, the members committee, I'd like to present you with this long overdue gold medal for your performance in the club division of the numbers competition from last year. I apologize on behalf of every board member of the IJA for pissing you off, and will sacrifice my life for yours upon your request. Never has such an injustice been carried out in this organization as has been in this case, except for in 1990, when all the judges were turned against you, and last year when the timekeeper's stopwatch didn't work right. Please accept this small, flimsy token of our appreciation and accept our apologies. We hope this occurrence will not result in the cancellation of your membership. We value your business and appreciate any input you may have to make this the best non-profit organization for juggling that the world has.
Now hold on a second, hold on. Thank you very much, 1 second. Ben, if you're out there, there's something I would like to say. I can't tell you how much this means to me. Mainly because I don't want to offend you, but you know, as long as we're going back and rectifying these major oversights in this fine organization, I think it's only fair to the members and certainly the competitors that we go back at least as far as there is video documentation and reevaluate every decision that's ever been made. For example, after watching the video of the 1986 numbers competition, it becomes quite clear that Dan Bennett actually beat Anthony Gatto with 8 balls by 4 catches. Now, Ben, I don't suppose you brought a medal for Dan this year, did you? You don't have a medal for Dan, do you? No, you don't. No, that's my. But here's what I like to do. What I'd like to do is give Dan my medal because chronologically he got screwed first. me more times, but still him first. And then Ben, you can get Gatto's medal from '86 and give that to me next year for last year. And then it'll all be. Dan, could you come up here and wherever you are, could you come up here quickly and get your medal? I'll take it from you. We made up here a lot quicker than the timekeepers. Did he change his pants, by the way? Dan, stand over here. Dan, on behalf of the IJ8 Numbers Committee and President of the United States, I would like to present you with this piece of metal. No, you're going to have to do that yourself. Here's the medal. Thank you very much. I'm sorry that this happened to you, and this is long overdue. Thank you very much. Get the hell off the stage. You call juggling a sport, and people laugh. You call juggling an art, and people laugh. You show them that there's a Juggle magazine, and people laugh a lot. You punch them in the face, and they stop laughing. Stage lights, I think, would be appropriate for this segment.
Beat up a clown!
Little brighter.
He's the mime in the house.
All right, well, they could see pretty good. I don't know why there were so many mistakes tonight. Not bad at all. I'm just going to do a little warming up here. That's pretty good. All right. All right, let's see if I remember some of the tricks from tonight. I don't know, did anybody do this? They did that. Anybody do this? It's a good place to stop, I think. Well, we've reached the end of the video. I will not be making any more videos. I'm sick of making videos. Between this one and Juggling Master 2000, you've got plenty to work on. And if you've got Juggling Kung Fu Master, you've got all the shots of my ass you'll ever need. It's rated R, so if you're under 18, just send me cash. If you have any questions, feel free to email me through my website, jasongarfield.com. I will not respond to stupid questions or comments, so if you've emailed in the past and you didn't get a response, now you know why. Well, that just about wraps things up here. Doesn't just about wrap it up, it's wrapped up, we're done. But just remember, nobody likes to hear you cough, chew, sniffle, snort, or yawn. So either keep it down or go somewhere else. And remember, unless you're an attractive member of the opposite sex, nobody wants you sitting next to them on the bus or any other mode of public transportation. And remember, just because an escalator moves doesn't mean you can't also walk down it, you lazy f***. I think my work is done here. would you do if you saw somebody juggling on the street?
Probably kick his knees in.
What's the most amount of balls ever juggled?
30.
What's the most amount of balls ever juggled?
Most amount of balls ever juggled? 3.
What do you think the world record is for the most amount of balls ever juggled?
What was it, 23?
What's the most amount of balls ever juggled?
I really couldn't tell you, bro.
What's your best guess?
I'd say about maybe 30.
What do you think the world record is for the most amount of balls ever juggled?
I think it is 8. I think it is 8, and I do know a little bit about that.
What do you think the world record is for the most amount of balls ever juggled?
Oh, God, that's a tough one. I don't know, 3, 4, 5?
Well, which one?
5?
Sure, 5? Is that your final answer? You're going with 5?
Yeah.
You're wrong. Do you think making balloon animals is generally something that jugglers do?
I don't know if jugglers do that or not, but I like the balloon time and stuff they do.
What's the first thing you think of when you think of a juggler?
The circus. A trapeze. Tightrope.
Have you ever seen a juggler before?
Yes, here in Hollywood. A lot of clowns.
Do you think playing with a yo-yo is a form of juggling?
No. Depends on how you playing with it.
To the best of your ability, can you show us how to juggle 2 balls? How would you do 4?
You hold 2 on this side, and you throw one up, and you throw the next one down. As soon as this one goes down to this one, you throw the third one up, and you throw the 4th one up until you reach both hands back again. Just do a rotation. Just right here.
Which of the 3 following events do you think would be held at a juggling competition? Dwarf tossing, tree chopping, or speed balloon sculpturing?
Speed balloon. Because that's more common and you see that a lot.
Dwarf tossing, tree chopping, or speed balloon sculpturing?
Tree chopping. What was your question?
Dwarf tossing, tree chopping, or speed balloon sculpturing?
Dwarf chopping.
Yes. Well, it's more circus type, you know? I mean, you said juggling, why not juggle dwarfs if you can do it, you know? You ever heard of cat juggling? They juggle cats.
Dwarf kicking, tree chopping, or speed balloon sculpturing?
Speed balloon sculpturing.
How come?
Because dwarf kicking just sounds like it might piss some people off, and tree chopping seems more like a lumberjack event.
Yeah, and I've seen that also because it sounds like a theme, like a circus theme or whatever.
And so you would relate juggling with the circus?
Yeah.
Or speed balloon sculpturing?
They all seem pretty irrelevant to juggling.
Because you can juggle the sculpted balloons.
So you would consider that most likely to be part of a juggling competition then?
Probably. I mean, if now, yeah, maybe 10 years ago, probably balloon sculpting, I'd say, but now probably the dwarf kicking.
The last one, speed balloon chopping.
If somebody were juggling 7 clubs, now pay attention, this is important. If somebody were juggling 7 clubs and they made 16 throws, they dropped the 15th throw, but they caught the 16th before the 15th touched the ground. Would that count as 15 or 14 catches?
If there are no snake charms, it is a juggler.
But then the 16th club he caught before the 15th touched the ground.
14 catches.
14 catches. Now explain why
In
that.
succession. So as soon as you drop one, it doesn't matter if you catch one after that. You've now stopped your progression, and you go back to 0.
15 or 14 throws.
Well, neither. I thought you said they made 7 throws.
No, 7 clubs. 7 clubs. They look like bowling pins, only they're a lot lighter and nothing at all like bowling pins. And they dropped the 15th throw, but they caught the 16th before the 15th touched the ground. Would that count as 15 or 14 catches?
14.
Can you explain why?
No, I can't.
One more time, 16 throws. dropped the 15th throw but caught the 16th before the 15th touched the ground. Does that count as 15 or 14 catches?
14.
Can you explain why?
Well, because he still didn't catch the 15th one regardless. It still hit the ground, so that would still count as, no blood. It's still 15 catches, So it'd be one less. Because it wouldn't get, you see what I'm saying? It wouldn't count.
And they dropped the 15th, but they caught the 16th before the 15th touched the ground. Will that count as 14 or 15 catches? Would you rather see a person do 7 club back crosses or juggle while eating an apple?
7 what?
Would you rather see somebody juggle 9 balls, throw all 9 up in the air, spin around 5 times, catch them all, and continue juggling them for an additional 100 catches, or see someone juggle 2 balls and an apple and eat the apple at the same time?
Juggle the apple and eat the apple at the same time. I'd rather see that.
How come?
I think it would be a little harder to do.
I think it'd just be interesting to see how they can coordinate, do the eating and then at the same, I think it'd just be harder.
With an apple, an eat apple.
How come?
It sounds more interesting. I mean, and I think it's harder.
Would you rather see someone juggle 7 balls and throw them all behind their back for 100 catches, or juggle 2 balls and 1 apple and eat the apple at the same time?
The last one. The apple one.
Ephesus. Once the Roman capital of Asia Minor and a major. What the f*** are you doing?
One, two, three.
You'll notice for the cardiovascular workout that I use, God, I can't see shit. Okay, let's get started. Okay. Cut. Okay, let's continue now with 10 3-up double pirouettes in a row, separated by a deep squat and a jump spinning crescent kick. And go. You mother So let's now proceed with the lessons. In this next section,